Defending champions Clarendon College confirmed their place in the semi-finals of the DaCosta Cup with a 3-1 win over McGrath in a quarter-final group clash which ended moments ago. Lenny Hyde's team finished atop their group with maximum 9 points. Manchester High beat Cornell College 2-1 in the group's other game. Now, Clarendon College will face Garvey Maceo in one semi-final, while Dinthill Technical and the Manning's School will meet in the other. Over in the Manning Cup, it will be defending champions Jamaica College against Charlie Smith in one semi-final, with tournament favourites Kingston College opposing St Andrew Technical in the other. Now, the semi-finals of both the DaCosta Cup and Manning Cup competitions, along with the Champions Cup, Walker and the Ben Francis Cup knockout competitions, will be played in January. To provide a perspective on these seasons so far and what we can look forward to, we are joined by schoolboy football analysts Chris Taylor and Dwight Jeremiah. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Greetings, gents.
All right, let's start Manning Cup.
Good to be here.
Thank you, Dwight. Let's start Manning Cup now. I'm going to start with Chris. D Cup is for Dwight. Based on how it has boiled down now, Chris, we know the last four standing. Assess their chances from here on in for the viewers.
I think no surprise. I think Kingston College coming into this competition would have been were thought of as favourites, and I guess they have defended that talk in terms of how they have performed. I think one of the things that Kingston College benefited from is having one of the older squads. You know, they have about 4 or 5 18 to 19-year-olds in their team, which means some level of maturity within the squad, players who would have been around from the 2019 team and so on. So I think that has moved in their favour. I think their performances and execution have been great. I think it's toying up to certainly be a navy blue against a purple for the final. Charlie Smith, I think, have done excellently to get there. We wouldn't have had Charlie Smith initially to make the semi-finals, but it just speaks of the resilience of the school. Eugene Williams, Byron Earl in a set of people who have won their Manning Cup before. I think it's St Andrew Technical who didn't originally qualify. I think they are riding their luck very well. One of the most consistent teams over the last 4 years, 4 semi-finals in 4 years. I think that speaks for itself. However, I think Charlie Smith and St Andrew Technical might be wanting a little in terms of depth of squad. I think that would play a major part in the semi-final. So I think it's really edging towards a KC-JC final. JC have played Charlie Smith before. They beat them 2-0 in the group. But I think this is a stronger JC unit now. The chemistry is a lot better. Players are peaking at the right time. Duncan McKenzie, Dwight Merrick and company, Tyreek Zimenez, who has Premier League experience. I think it will be too much for the boys from Arnett Gardens. And Philip Williams, lovely coach, has done great things with the St Andrew Technical team. We think about the two Omars, Omar Leng and Omar Reed, as the two main guys up front for STATHS. If good things are going to happen, it's going to revolve around those two. But I think that the depth of the KC team will be too much. Christopher Pearson, Jamon Barkley, the list goes on. James Johnson. I mean, so many players. Kingston College have Khalifa Richards. I think that, you know, their depth of squad under Ludlow Bernard will be too much for St Andrew Technical. But I think that would be the toughest semi-final.
Yeah, as a spectator, Chris, what has caught my eye is KC's potential for destruction. I say that to mean their potential to destroy teams. But I noted, right, Chris, that very early in this competition, I think it was after a 7-0 win or a big win, Ludlow Bernard was quick to tell the media, look, I'm not having this KC favourites, the tank for the competition. I'm not having that. I don't want anybody to call us favourites. We are not favourites. What was he intending to do at that time with this bunch of boys?
Well, I think he spoke to us about complacency setting in with the youngsters. I think that they know that they were maybe a tad above the rest, especially their group initially, which they probably might have had actually the weakest group going into the second round. So I think complacency was a big thing on his part, and there were a couple performances where some of the more experienced players, you know, started a bit flat or, as I said, taking things for granted. I think that was his biggest worry. But I think as the tournament has progressed, those big-name players have stepped up to the fore and they have shown that they are stronger and more mature than the opposition. I think when you look at a lot of the other teams, individually, skill-wise and so on, they might be very similar. But in terms of strength and maturity, I think the KC team has been just better than most in those two categories. And it has showed when it comes to 50-50 challenges, taking control of the midfield, or even situations in the box where you need to, for the best part, show physicality against a defender or so on. I think KC have stood out. So I think what he was trying to say was, look, they don't want the pressure of being favourites, but it is what it is, George. They were favourites, they are favourites, and whether he likes it or not, or so, I just think he wanted to make sure that the boys didn't concentrate on that aspect and had to realize that only consistent performances will get them there. Because as you know, KC have been favourites and have lost in more than 1 year.
Absolutely so.
All right. Do I, Jeremiah, the semi-final lineup in the DaCosta Cup looks intriguing. We see Clarendon College against Garva Maceo, Dinthill, Mannings. Of the four teams, Clarendon College as an institution has far more know-how when it comes to the Costa Cup championship, medal than the other three teams. Is that something that, reflects how this playoff is likely to go?
I think for sure their matchup in the semi-final against Garvey is one that I think that will play a big part. Garva Maceo has been doing well this season. I think very good going forward. I think defensively they're a bit suspect, and the bulk of their stuff is what they do going forward. They play a very direct style, not necessarily quick in transition to pass forward, but they really just go direct. And a lot of their possession is in the attacking third. But I think Clarendon, as an institution, you hear them talking at the beginning of the season that they're not really in it to win it. They're really determined to play their Clarendon style. But we know the Clarendon style, if they get it right, then they're going to definitely challenge to win it. And I think that is what is happening. I do see them beating this Garva Maceo team. They do have good attacking players, like I said, Garvey, but I don't think exceptional. So I think Clarendon will be able to manage that. So I definitely see that going forward. And being a coach myself, I have gone into the quarterfinals. Yes, as an institution, it plays a big role when you get to this stage of the competition. So I in that tie, definitely see Clarendon as the favourite. But should be a very good tie nonetheless.
Okay, so before we look at the Dinthill Mannings game, just a little bit more on that Clarendon College clash with Garva Maceo, because Linworth High, the Clarendon College coach, as you know, was an instrumental player in the famous Clarendon College 1977 team, which is regarded as one of the best schoolboy teams in the history of schoolboy football competition. And when Lenny Hyde coaches a team, he puts a print on that team. There are things about the team and how they play that pretty much illustrates Lenny Hyde's philosophy of football. Is this current Clarendon team displaying that?
It may not be the crispest of teams that we've seen him put out, but certainly, yes, you can see his stamp on this team. And if you look at them, if you were to take them apart in different units within the team, defensively they're not been at their strongest that we've seen Clarendon teams over the years. But because his style of possession-based football, that helps him defensively because he's with the ball most of the time, and that is a twofold thing. You attack when you have the ball, but the team you're playing against cannot attack against you, so it's a defensive ploy as well. So because they keep possession so well, it doesn't really put that defensive line under a lot of pressure. Today we saw that they conceded a goal against a McGrath team that has been the beating stick of many in this quarterfinal round. So it speaks to the fact that they're not 100% solid defensively, but because of his style and a coach who likes the ball so much, it's like a spoiled boy on a Sunday morning. If he doesn't get the ball, he takes it up and go. He wants that ball, and yes, we see that from this Clarendon College team.
Yeah, I know a few Mannings past students, Dwight, and they'll be thrilled that Mannings are where they are now, because they have by no stretch of the imagination been a powerhouse in schoolboy football. How do they match up against this Dinthill team?
I think on paper this is the tie that is possibly most exciting. Because this Mannings team is a very, very good attacking team. I think that's where they pack a punch. They have a young player in Rodney. He was at overseas. He played defensive midfield at under 14, under 16 level. Now he's one of their most exciting attacking player, and he carries a lot. He plays in the number 12 jersey. But also, what strikes me about this Mannings team is that it's a very young team. A lot of these players have 1 or 2 more years on them, and I don't want to say that it has come a little bit too early for them, no. As a coach, sometimes you have a 3-year plan, but if it comes in your second or first year, then go ahead and take it. And I think they're really in a good position to really make the finals of the DaCosta Cup based on the number of players that they have. They have a lot of quality attacking players, but they do give their opponent a chance. We saw it in the game against Vere in the quarterfinals where they won it 3-2. So that's the part about them, because a lot of their defenders are young defenders. Javin Williams, which is their main defender, central defender, is just turned 16. So still learning his craft, but doing well. And because they keep the ball a lot in their attacking third, it doesn't really put these young defenders under a lot of pressure. But they play collectively as a unit, despite having these individual good talents in there. But I have had a first-hand view of Dinthill when they played against Dinthill, and they are a good unit as well. Really good unit. They defend as a team. They keep possession going forward. They're very slick. They take their risks. But once they lose possession, they make the pitch as small as possible, and they hound you in pass, and they win the ball out of the pitch. But when in possession, very good technical team. I give them the edge because of their defensive solidity. I don't think they've conceded a goal all season long. Best defensive record in schoolboy football. I think only Kingston College comes close with conceding just one. So because of their defensive record, I give Dinthill the edge in this one. And I've seen them firsthand, and they're a good unit.
Yeah, so Chris and Dwight, schoolboy football season like no other that we had seen before, so much so that the continuation is in January. Usually schoolboy football is done and dusted by mid-December. Overall, looking back at this season, anything starting with you, Chris, that has stood out for you with these schoolboys coming off a near 2-year break from schoolboy football?
Well, I think the boys have taken a while to get to what we'd call, maximum fitness. I probably expected a lot more injuries and so on. So I think kudos to the management teams of all of these academies and units. I think they have done a good job. I thought with a shortened camp, and as you said, the youngsters out of football for such a long time, that, the coaches and the schools have really done well. The youngsters have really stood up well. I think the quality overall, generally with football, is a little bit below maybe what we're used to seeing at the Costa Cup or Manning Cup level. And I think that is partially because the squads are so young. So a lot of these players would normally be playing Colts.
Yes.
Or just coming out of Colts. And I think that does play a part as well in terms of their level of maturity. Most of the teams are young. As Dwight said, they have 2 or 3 years left. So from that perspective, maybe the quality a little bit lower. But as you said, the fact that these youngsters are getting the experience and so on, I say kudos to Issa for being able to pull this off. I think what this also showed is that centralized venues might actually be a good thing, because you're able to, broadcast a lot more teams than you would normally get. So I think from that perspective, the ability to see a lot more schools was really a positive this year. And it's good to see that COVID-wise, in that major challenge, we haven't had any major issues within the tournament thus far, fingers crossed. So I think that is a big plus coming out of this year's schoolboy.
Yeah, and Dwight, anything standing out for you? I know you probably saw a lot more of the DaCosta Cup than the Manning Cup.
Yeah, but I look at it even from a coach's perspective, having Coach William Nin. It has been a challenge, as you talk about, not in normal times. And I think Chris mentioned that sometimes the quality not up to par, but because as coaches, we had a very short time to prepare, and you have to do things to try and get the players as fit as possible. At the same time, that sometimes it takes away from as much you could do tactically or technically to improve these players. So you have to split that short time you have over the segments of the game, physical side, tactical side, technical side. And that, I think, contributes to the fact that you don't see the high quality. But I think the players, they responded quite well. And even to the avoidance of so many injuries, I think they took to the physical side of it very well to get themselves in shape as much as possible. What we sold to them in terms of the possibility of injuries, if not in good shape, they bought it well, and I think they gave it as good a shot as they could.
Gentlemen.
So I'm just pleased that football was played and a lot of the board opportunity.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. I have to tell you this I have to tell you this as we leave, though. News breaking within the hour. The Jamaica international, Shamara Nicholson, who has scored 13 goals, 5 assists, 2 hat-tricks in 18 games for Charleroi, has signed for the 22 times Russian champion Spartak Moscow. They unveiled him as their latest signing, so Shamar Nichols will be playing in Russia from next season. And that's inspiration for the youngsters playing in this schoolboy football competition this season, that they can be playing for a big team in Europe not too long from now. I leave you with that, gentlemen. All the best to you.
Big deal. You too. Take care.
Good.
Before you go,
all right, guys.
Before you go, George, I just tell you to watch this space, because there will be. Just watch this space, because on that news with Shamar Nicholson, there's something that will be breaking quite shortly on another schoolboy that may be making a move. I'll bring it to this space for sure.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We're going to hold it to that. Any breaking news, Chris? Okay, thank you. All the best. All right, so schoolboy football resumes in January, where we'll have the season climaxing on the 29th of January with the Olivier Shield. All the action, of course, live on your home of champions.